Hello and welcome to Alfons Zeileis. My name is Johanna Negelsbach. I'm the grandniece of the painter Alfons Zeileis. What was life like in 1929 in the Weimar Republic? Weren't the 20s wild and golden? You can find out more in this video. The newspaper Pfälzische Volkszeitung of 13th of November 1929 provides a very well-founded view of the situation of employees. The Free National Union of Salaried Employees sent out questionnaires which were answered by around 150,000 members from all parts of the Reich. The evaluation of these many questionnaires is carried out exclusively by hand and is very time-consuming. The analysis for Berlin, Hamburg, and Lower and Upper Silesia are available. The article states that more than 40% of all married couples in Berlin were childless. One-child marriages are the most common. In contrast to the turn of the century, when 2 children were still common, 2 children are probably considered a luxury. Less than 2% of married couples in Berlin have 3 children under the age of 16. Alfons and Elisabeth Zeileis with their daughter Anneliese therefore belong to the majority of one-child families. How was it possible to have a one-child family in 1929 without a contraceptive pill? How was contraception used? Well, condoms, so-called rubber specialties, had been around since 1880. Women have been using permanent contraception since 1850 and men since 1890 through sterilization. The diaphragm has been around since the end of the 19th century. The Austrian gynecologist Hermann Knaus and the Japanese gynecologist Kyosako Ogino developed a parallel method for calculating a woman's fertile and infertile days. To be fair, it was named the Knaus-Ogino method, after both doctors. The IUD has been around since 1920. The majority of employees come from the petite bourgeoisie. Of the 24,000 employees from Berlin-Brandenburg who took part in the survey, around 14,200 had attended primary school for 7 to 8 years, 4,500 a type of secondary school for 10 years, and around 4,150 a type of grammar school for 13 years. In the spring of 1929, of the 24,000 employees mentioned, around 2,000 had a monthly income of less than 100 marks. 44% less than 200 marks, 60% less than 250 marks, and 73% less than 300 marks. Only just over a quarter of employees had an income of over 300 marks. 374 employees earned 500 to 599 marks, and 247 over 600 marks. This gives the impression that the employees are doing quite badly economically. The text goes on to say that younger employees and married couples have to live in newly built flats, and that these are not cheap. The economic situation of the employees is not exactly described as rosy. One wonders, why do employees have to live in newly built flats? Wouldn't a cheap old building do? If you look at it another way, namely in a positive light, over 40% of employees earn more than 300 marks. Of course, overall standards were low and they couldn't afford as much as we can today. On the other hand, there wasn't as much either. No disposable fashion, not many expensive electrical appliances, no mass consumption. People wore clothes until they could no longer be repaired with the best will in the world. It was mass production that brought prosperity to a broad section of the population. The value of 300 marks back then can be seen in the following advert. A paletot, which is a fitted 3/4 length, just above the knee light transitional coat, cost from 48 marks at the time, equivalent to around 200 euros today. An ulster, which is a heavy and very robust winter coat with a fabric weight of around 650 grams for men, cost from 30 marks at the time, equivalent to around 126 euros today. A suit was available from 28 marks, which is around 118 euros today. Oranges were available at 28 pfennigs per pound, equivalent to around 1.18 euros. As you can see, it's not just the salary that matters, but also the prices and consumption. Thank you for looking at the life of employees in the Weimar Republic with me. I already mentioned it. In 1930, the occupying forces will leave the Palatinate. You can find out what that means in the next video. I look forward to seeing you again.